The John, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast. John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole.
There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
All right, here we go. 11 a.m. on the Screws Eastern Standard Time. It is Monday, December 20th, 2021, episode 329 of the Anik and Florian podcast as we come down the stretch of a most memorable year. Lot to talk about after the UFC's final live event of the year. There were also some other offerings on the combat sports plate that we will get to later in headlines. Morning, Ken Flo. What's going on there in Charlotte, North Carolina, kid?
What's happening, man? I think I woke up the latest I've woken up in like 15 years. I woke up at like 8:45 or something like that. Yeah, almost 9 o'clock. And my wife decided to make this eggnog last night, except It's like eggnog with bourbon and rum, and I don't typically drink. And it just destroyed me. It was very strong, and I'm a wimp. And so I guess I slept well, but I kind of feel weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I feel good.
I don't sleep well when I drink alcohol. Maybe I just need to drink more of it.
Right.
So 8:45. So was this because like you don't have to take a kid to school? Like what allowed you the luxury? Yeah,
exactly. No school. Christmas week or whatever. And
Christmas week. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm not going to lead the show with Jake Paul. We have certainly given him a lot of credit, for his work ethic and other things. And certainly he put the capstone on a big year. And there's a whole Tyron Woodley side of this. My word, right? I mean, my word, T Wood. But we got to lead with Derek Lewis over Chris Daukaus in the main event, UFC Fight Night. The knockout came at 3:36 of round one. Ken Flo, you had the Black Beast to win, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
No, I actually had Daukaus.
All right.
I did have Daukaus. Yeah.
So I pushed out a tweet after the fact that said, I can't believe Derek Lewis was the betting underdog, right? And certainly I am a seasoned enough gambler to know that when they set a betting line, they are trying to get two-way action. And they got two-way action on this fight. Chris Daukaus, I believe, opened as a slight favorite and closed an even bigger favorite, right? But as somebody who's contractually prevented from not only betting on this stuff, but I can't give predictions on the air. And even if I have a lean, I can't really talk about it. So this can certainly sound like retrospective and hindsight and all of that stuff, right? But it amazed me that Derek Lewis could be had at plus money against a guy who made his UFC debut in August of 2020. I love Chris Daukaus. We had him on the air. He's a supreme athlete. I think he's a tweener, a little bit between weight classes. I don't think he's a light heavyweight, but certainly, if I was contractually allowed to bet on this stuff, I would have bet on Derek Lewis as an underdog because he came in the most decorated knockout artist in UFC heavyweight history, and he was fighting a striker, So obviously there's a lot to unpack, or I guess not much more than 3.5 minutes, but I want to get your thoughts on that and on the main event as it went down this weekend, my friend.
No question. Listen, Derek Lewis obviously has the capability of just landing one shot and ending a fight. We knew that was possible. I certainly knew that was possible. And for Daukaus, I thought that he had to fight a pretty perfect fight. I thought it was possible for him to get in and get out. But standing in front of Derek Lewis, I don't care who you are. If you allow Derek Lewis to get in front of you, close that gap, and just trade, Derek Lewis is probably going to win those exchanges, and it's not going to go well. So Derek Lewis fought a perfect fight. He was patient. Daukaus was trying to land from the outside, was trying to look for a way to get on the inside and feint his way in. I don't think his feints were effective at a certain point. It's one thing to move. A real feint, a proper feint, is when you get someone to bite on something that they think is going to be thrown. And Derek Lewis, after a while, was like, he wasn't biting on any of that. And he's like, all right, none of this is real. I'm going to go and charge this guy. And that's exactly what he did. He closed that distance, got right in front of Daukaus, and took care of business. But Derek Lewis, again, it's almost, we talk about this every time of how sneaky fast he is. It's like you see this huge guy. You don't think he's going to move the way he does. He's throwing freaking double kicks and, front kicks, high kicks to the head that you'd never think a guy that size would be able to throw. Yeah. He's an awesome athlete, sneaky good athlete, as is Daukaus, but his size, his power, his speed, and his ability to close that gap was the difference.
I'm not sure that Chris Daukaus is the Stipe Miocic type athlete that can bridge this size gap. There are a lot of big guys, man, with consequential power in this heavyweight division. I think this was too much too soon for Daukaus, and I'm not trying to be overly critical. I'm really not, but there have been certain examples when it comes to the UFC matchmaking, and they're few and far between. But Eric Anders against Lyoto Machida comes to mind, even though he was competitive, happened very early on in his UFC career. Remember, a lot of people were critical of Jared Cannonier getting the Glover Teixeira fight in his 4th UFC appearance. It just seemed too much too soon. And yet here was Chris Daukaus, if you want to defend the matchmaking, as the betting favorite in this fight, right? So I guess I'm just sort of surprised that was the reality. And hey, obviously they got two-way action, and it is what it is. And Derek Lewis is chasing down Andrei Arlovsky as the winningest heavyweight of all time in the UFC, 21-18 now. He's only 3 back of Arlovsky, but Arlovsky's probably going to get a few more before all is said and done. But now Derek Lewis, Ken Flo, I mean, what else can you say about the Black Beast? Doesn't necessarily have the championship aspirations. And I'm not going to sit here and call him a Hall of Famer, but he is the most accomplished knockout artist in any division in UFC history. I mean, you and I were there for some of the early ones, Jack May and Gudo Inocenc. Pretty incredible body of work for Derek.
No, it's extremely impressive what he's accomplished in the UFC. And, when he gets it right, and when Derek Lewis is able to bring his weapons to the table, there's just not a whole lot of guys that will beat him. I think where he fails is, putting it all together, going against those guys who can definitely get it done on the grappling side of things. Derek Lewis certainly not known as an elite grappler, but it seems like he is working on that aspect and working on trying to stop those wrestling clinches and being able to break out of them. And if he does that, he's going to continue to improve. Can he bridge that gap to the point of being a champion in the UFC division? I'm not sure. When you look at guys like Ngannou and Cyril Gane, it's going to be difficult. But Derek Lewis, when he has a good night, man, does he look good. And he looked great against Daukaus, a guy who was obviously on a hot streak himself. And he's a fan favorite because of it. You know exactly what you're going to get when you watch Derek Lewis fight.
Sometimes when I'm betting the NFL, I try to be careful not to be so reactionary that I'm thinking so much about the previous week's result, because in a lot of respects, the NFL is week to week. And I think a lot of people maybe lean too much into the negative when Derek Lewis fought Cyril Gane. I mean, in some ways, I think he was beaten before he stepped in there just because of everything that people were saying about Gane. And then it all kind of was actualized or realized by Derek when they actually fought. But very happy for the Black Beast, and we'll see what happens with him. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him work his way back into a title situation at some point. And for Daukaus, I guess it's going to be interesting. I mean, I didn't hear much of what he had to say after the fact. He certainly will still have supporters in us, and I think that he needs to put on some size, maybe try to figure out a way to be kind of a grappling threat a little bit. What do you make of Daukaus's future now in this heavyweight division? There are going to be some favorable matchups for sure.
No question. Listen, this is his first main event. Not easy for any UFC fighter going into that situation. I think it is a very different feel and different buildup to a main event than your typical, UFC fight. So I think this is an experience that is going to teach him a lot. But more than anything else, I would like to see sharper feints. I do agree with you on the size thing. He is in between weight classes perhaps and needs to put on a little bit more muscle and size maybe. But he does have that speed and that footwork to be able to get in and out. And I didn't see that as much. It seemed like he was having trouble bridging that gap to get on the inside, land those shots and get out and create those angles. So I'm sure he'll be a little bit more comfortable with that. Derek Lewis is not an easy out by any stretch of the imagination. And, if he can get it done on the grappling side as well, he'll be that much better. So this is a guy who's constantly learning. It's still early in his career, and he'll be back better.
And he's got some big wins, right? I mean, we shouldn't discredit the Shamil Abdurakhimov win, obviously, for Chris Daukaus, which happened not all that long ago. But, he wouldn't be a massive light heavyweight, Kenny. He wouldn't be the biggest 205er in the world. I think he'd be an absolute beast if he, was walking at 225, 230 and cut down to 206. I don't know, right? Saif Saud told me that if he was going to corner me for one amateur fight, that he would get me down to 25. Now, you don't look at me as a flyweight, right? But I'd probably be more dangerous there than 35, Right. I mean, I don't know that dangerous really would be anyway. But I'm telling you, I don't know, man. I don't know. the eye test for me, it was just like a light heavyweight fighting a heavyweight.
Right.
All right. We congratulate Derek Lewis. All right. If you're on the Anik and Florian podcast YouTube channel right now, you know that Belal Muhammad has a show on our channel with my twin brother, Jason Anik. Now, there are any number of different ways that I could go about supporting UFC athletes, or you could go about supporting UFC or PFL athletes, right? That's one of them. Yeah, we gave the guy a show, right? Didn't necessarily know he'd vault into the top 5 in the world at 170 pounds, Ken Flo. Belal Muhammad by unanimous decision over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the co-main event, 30-25 on one scorecard, 30-26 times 2 on the others. You had a lot to say about this on Twitter. We like when Ken Flo gets going on that Twitter machine on a Saturday night. What did you make of Belal's biggest career win to date? Made it look relatively easy there against Wonderboy.
That's what was so impressive, John. It's one thing to go out there and beat him, right? It's quite another thing to go out there and really dominate every single round. You just don't see that in Wonderboy. Woodley in his prime really wasn't able to do that against someone like Wonderboy. A lot of guys have struggled, whether you're talking about, the Johnny Hendrickses of the world, the Vicente Luques and Jorge Masvidal, all these guys kind of didn't look great against Wonderboy, right? And you go out there and you see Belal, and he just looked like a takedown machine. His timing, his execution, his control was just tremendous in this fight. And again, I picked Wonderboy to win this fight. I thought Wonderboy was going to be too much. His footwork, getting a handle on that footwork and that speed is not an easy thing to do. But when speed and space is not your friend, you take that away. How do you take that away? You clinch the man. You slow him down by getting in there and you hug him and you get him down. And that's easier said than done because a lot of people know that. But can you go out and do it? And Belal went out there and did it, which was tremendous. Each and every round, just dominant, man.
You know how you do it? You request to fight Wonderboy at the Apex. That's what you do, right? I mean, is there a way to overstate how big a deal the octagon size is in certain matchups, right? And I'm not taking anything away from Belal, who is scheduled to join us, by the way, coming up here in 40 minutes. But Gilbert Burns had to fight this guy on pay-per-view in a 30-footer, which I think puts his win maybe on a different pedestal. I don't know that Gilbert Burns was as dominant as Belal was physically, right? But I certainly think the octagon size helps in certain matchups, Ken Flo.
It definitely does. I think it is a factor. You take away those extra few feet in diameter. I think it does make a difference. It makes the ability to close that distance easier for the grappler. And I think Belal took full advantage of it. He did a great job of cutting off the cage and finishing those takedowns.
It's 31% smaller, right? It's like you're up on the fucking apron. You're up on it like right away. It's like you literally have to advance one time, but it's certainly something that the Thompson camp needs to have accounted for. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on social media today. I want to apologize to my coaches, my family, and my fans for my performance. I'm motivated, not broken. So, again, I don't think he loses too much other than his top 5 ranking on the Thompson side. It sounds like he's going to try to rebuild and make one, more concerted effort at this. He does have some gray hair now. We're going to spend a lot of the show on Belal. Kenny, what do you make of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson here in defeat? He's not all that far removed from a win over Jeff Neal, which was pretty dominant. But obviously he has shown to have a kryptonite in the UFC, and he's been exposed by Burns and now Muhammad back to back.
Yeah, listen, I think that he needs to continue to work on ways to improve his grappling, to improve his understanding of where he needs to be positionally, both on the ground and standing when it comes to the clinch. And he's been such a good striker, and he's relied on that throughout his career. How much time is he putting into his grappling training? I don't know. I think it's probably going to have to be a little bit more than what we've seen. And a lot of those improvements happens not when you're preparing for a fight, but the in-between times that you're having a fight. So in your so-called off season, which really doesn't exist for a true professional mixed martial arts fighter, you get better by just grappling all the sensitivity based. For a guy who's been doing it for 25 years, if I take a couple weeks off, I feel a difference. So, again, it's especially the case for a guy who hasn't grappled for that long. You have to be grappling every freaking day if you want to be better. And for Wonderboy, he's got to put in that time. And that really has been his kryptonite, as you said. And I think for him, finding out, what is going to motivate him at this point of his career is going to be important. He's been fighting and competing in martial arts a really long time. So I wonder about that. And now with 2 losses in a row, I think he's going to have to find that within himself.
He apologized to his supporters for the performance. I'm curious about the preparation. I really am, because he had to know that Belal was going to go in there and try to drown him the way he did. He had to be expectant that this was going to be the approach, and he knew the fight was going to be at the apex. And all credit to Belal. Control time, almost 12 minutes. 7 of 9 on his takedown attempts. Very impressive, and he will likely be in the top 5 when the new rankings come out. Now, in terms of what you had to say on Twitter, and in terms of how you approach a fight against someone like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, now, there was nuance to Belal's takedown game, right? There were a lot of layers to what Belal was bringing to the table, but it seems like, I don't know, maybe 60% of people out there are just bored by Belal's performance. Some even going so far as to calling it listless. And I can't help but get into the fray. And it's not because Belal's my friend. It's like when you're fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, what are you supposed to do? I mean, Gilbert Burns was similarly criticized. I thought Gilbert put on a masterful performance, yet Burns goes over and apologizes to Dana White because he's trying like hell to finish, so much so that people thought he was maybe dirty with some of those shots down the stretch against Wonderboy. I'm talking about Gilbert Burns and not Belal Muhammad. But I don't know, man, like the appreciation or lack thereof for grappling and wrestling. Like, I bang on jiu-jitsu all the time. I tell people I never want to go back. But for me, the aesthetic of it as a viewer, I love to watch grappling and wrestling domination. And it just seems like a lot of people maybe need to go watch Glory Kickboxing if they did not enjoy that contest.
100%. When I heard about the very first UFC and Keith had told me, that he had saw it, I said, so what happened? Was it just something out there and knocked everybody out? He's like, no, it was just like, it was some skinny Brazilian guy who was taking people down. He was like, put him in holds. And I remember being so disappointed because that wasn't my vision of what a fight was, right? Over time, it has certainly changed, but that's what we think. We think the fighter or a good fight is just one that is done with just trading. And, most wars, most battles aren't just, one-on-one, one group of people with guns and another people with guns that are just running at each other shooting. Like, that's not the way it's done. There's a lot of different ways to win a battle, to win a war. And you have to understand your weapons, and you have to understand the weapons of your opponent as well. Belal understood this, and then he executed extremely well. Why the hell is he going to go and strike with one of the best strikers in UFC history? Why would you do that? He will clown 99.9% of the people in the welterweight division in the UFC, okay? So you're going to have to know what to do against someone like that who moves really well. You take away that space, you clinch him, you take him down, you control him, you take him out of your element. That's what Belal was able to do, and it was just brilliant. And you have to have an appreciation for it because, listen, Belal isn't the first person to figure it out, but he executed it better than pretty much everybody out there. Right. And that is impressive in and of itself. Hey, it's one thing to know, hey, I got to take Wonderboy down. No shit. But how do you do it? And how do you execute it? Belal went out there and did that, which is extremely impressive. I don't care who you are.
Right. And how do you keep him there? And how do you effectively break him, right, at least a little bit, and trying to break his will? Masterful performance for Belal Muhammad. Very close to on the level of what Gilbert Burns was able to do. I guess I just give Durinho a little bit more credit because he did it in the 30-footer and he did it first, right? But again, both of these guys, deserve credit.
And I guess something else to mention, to kind of what you were alluding to before, John, is, another thing is we've got fooled in some ways into thinking that entertainment is the number one thing we're supposed to go out there and do. If you ask Michael Jordan, he happened to be very entertaining and winning, but you ask him what his number one concern is, he wants to fucking win. That's it. I'm not here to entertain the Chicago fans. I'm out there to win basketball games. You ask the Patriots, Bill Belichick, what's your number one thing? Or why aren't you more entertaining, Bill? I don't give a shit about being entertaining. I'm out there to win football games, period. Then maybe I'll be able to make some money. Look at Khabib Nurmagomedov. Was he known as the most entertaining fighter in UFC history? Were we all excited to go out? No, he was a winner. And no one could stop him. And guess what? In that process, he could not be denied. He got the big fights, and he made a shit ton of money by winning and staying undefeated.
And certainly there's an entertainment component in all of that. I mean, there's nothing like a Khabib Nurmagomedov walk to the octagon by the end of his career, and dominance is very entertaining too. But yeah, I mean, look at Tyron Woodley, his nearly an hour with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the octagon, and the way that he had to fight that guy. And the thing too is, like, this isn't Belal Muhammad at like 40 years old, final fight of his career. Let's just trade on a fucking napkin with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the center of the octagon. He's chasing a world title, and certainly, ideally, the riches that may come with that. But when you are on a championship trajectory, to all of your points, you got to win. And we'll see. He's done a lot of that. You know, it's pretty remarkable. Last 12 walks to the octagon for Belal Muhammad. He's lost one fight to Jeff Neal, right? No contest against Leon Edwards, and then 10 wins, right? 12 walks. Or 9 wins, whatever it is. But the last 12 walks for Belal, he's lost one time. Pretty impressive. All right, Ray Longo coming up here in a few minutes. Quickly want to talk to you about Amanda Lemos and Angela Hill. It was the fight of the night, another tremendous showcase for the strawweight division. People are probably sick of me uttering out that line, but just a tremendous, tremendous fight. And, you know, Angela Hill raises her ceiling for me in defeat. I really feel like she is becoming a layered martial artist. She is super tough. I have all the respect in the world for what she has done. I think her work on television as an analyst has helped her as a fighter. You and I both thought that Amanda Lemos won this fight, and I know that we are in the minority. It was a close fight. You know, I feel badly for Angela Hill. She's lost a lot of split decisions. But I'm really happy for my friend Angela in defeat. I'm very encouraged about Amanda Lemos as far as her future in the division, and just what a great fight for the ladies over the weekend.
I was excited about this fight. You know, I think that Angela has, you know, turned herself into a dangerous grappler in a lot of ways. You know, she's become very effective when it comes to getting to that clinch position. She stays busy. She has a very unorthodox style, and it's hard to get a beat on what she's doing and when she's doing it. And I think that really threw Amanda Lemos off. Amanda Lemos, though, when you look at her ability, man, not only is she one of the best athletes in the women's division, but her striking, her tenacity, her toughness, her well-roundedness, man.
Yeah, man.
Again, Angela fought her ass off, may have fought a great fight, in my opinion, but Amanda was just better. If you look at the difference for me, Angela was moving forward. She was having some success, but for me, the difference in the strikes, Angela had slapping strikes. Amanda Lemos had heavy strikes, and it was just cleaner. She was landing cleaner. Those moments when Angela was so close to a takedown, Amanda would reverse it or, you know, push her off and then land a nice combination. She was just a little bit more vicious. And for me, the athleticism and the speed and the varied weapons was the difference for Lemos. Angela fought a great fight, but Lemos was just a little bit better when it mattered. And some people were surprised about the 30-27. Well, I had round 2 for Angela Hill as well, but I think that was super close. That really could have gone either way as well. It wasn't like it was an overwhelming win by any woman in that round. So I don't think that's, you know, completely uncalled for, but it was a great fight, and I think it really delivered.
And I think analytically, you couldn't have set it up better. I almost have nothing to add, right? I guess I would add to Amanda Lemos, and I agree with all the superlatives, right? She's special, man. You know, like there are just certain athletes that when you watch them, you just, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. You just believe. And she had to lean on her cardio in this fight. You know, she was certainly tested in the hot department, right?
Yes.
Very impressed with Amanda Lemos, switching stances, you know.
She's clean, again, dude. She's good.
She's clean, man. Really, really impressive. What'd you make of Ricky Simone? You know, Rafael Assunção, not the easiest guy to knock out. And certainly it's a case of two guys going in different directions. But it's amazing to see Simone, you know, little pork chop when he's not in training, and then just an absolutely shredded animal on the scale.
And that's for sure. I mean, he looks massive for the division. You know, I would never say I was a Ricky Simone doubter, but I'm not sure I was sold on him of like a guy who could be a top 5 or champion. I think that performance against the Sun Sal really sold me where, I think Ricky Simone went out there and didn't just win the fight. He dominated. Just dominated. His wrestling was on point. His connections were super tight. Stayed on him. Was landing heavy shots. He just put it all together against a guy in a Sunsao who, was one of the elite bantamweights for a very, very long time. Man, I mean, he's got a lot of dangerous weapons. He hits really hard, and none of that phased Ricky Simone. Delivered at the right time, and I was impressed, man. I'm sold. I mean, the kid is very, very tough.
Is he not ranked? I don't even think he's ranked right now, which just shows you the current state of the UFC's bantamweight division. But
killers.
Yeah, I have thought that he had a championship ceiling, and it's nice that we got Ken Flo on board now. Mateusz Gamrot out of Poland is like 20-1. He defeated Carlos Diego Ferreira, TKO. Yeah, submitted to the referee after that knee to the body. I don't know if it's really Jason Herzog on Twitter, but he seemed to be self-critical of the stoppage here. I didn't take any issue with it. It seemed as though Diego Ferreira sort of verbally acknowledged that his rib or something in the body was hurt to the referee. But Gamrot's the story. What'd you make of the stoppage and everything else there?
Oh, boy. Listen, I think that Gamrot just impressed the hell out of me. Really had no fear of the grappling skills of Ferreira. Just went out there and beat him at his own game, really. His wrestling is on point. He's very fast. He's a tremendous athlete. He landed the shots when he needed to, so he got the respect he needed with his hands, and that's what allowed him to get to those clinch positions. He was the better striker. He was the better grappler, or wrestler anyway. Maybe not the better submission guy, but certainly the better overall grappler. And I was very, very impressed by Gamrot. He's someone to watch. I don't think a whole lot of people are going to want to fight him.
I'm telling
you. He's a problem. He's a problem for sure. And in regards to the stoppage, he hit him in those floating ribs. It reminded me very similar to when GSP stopped Matt Serra. Those shots are brutal. When you're in that turtle position, and you land those knees to the floating ribs, those really can do a number on you. It could have been a broken rib, certainly an injured rib that took his breath away. And Ferreira, basically was done before the submission was put in there. But it was hard to see. I certainly didn't see it in real time. It was really difficult. It happened very quick. So I don't necessarily blame Jason Herzog for that. Herzog, one of the best in the game, but it would have been worse maybe if it was like a series of concussive blows to the head of Ferreira. Luckily, it was a submission instead of like punches. But awesome performance from Gamrot, man. Wow, what a fighter.
Yeah, I do consider Jason Herzog a friend, but I also think he is one of, if not the singular best referee in mixed martial arts right now. I did vote for him for Fighters Only Referee of the Year in 2021. All right, plenty more coming up on UFC Fight Night. Lewis versus Daukaus. Today's Ray Longo Minute is brought to you by NordVPN.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast.
Ray Longo, Ray Longo, Ray Longo, Ray Longo. Hey, Ray. I'm going to be really nice today because some of the YouTube commenters maybe don't understand our friendship and they think that I have been, been a little bit distasteful in going back and forth with you.
Man, I'm sorry, man. If Cody could get the microphone up, I could barely hear you guys.
Oh, I did all that dancing for nothing, Ken Flo.
I know.
Ray Longo. Man, I think Longo had some of Clark Florian's punchy eggnog.
You know what stinks, Kenny? I can't hear this guy. Well, I can't hear him, and I know he's.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh man.
Oh no, he can't.
I gotta try getting on again. Try getting on again.
All right, we're keeping all this in the show, but let's get him out of here, and we'll see if Ray Longo can rejoin us. It was a big weekend for Team Sarah Longo. Make sure we put Sarah in front of the Longo there. I did notice a fighter mention Law MMA, which is Longo Weidman MMA. Maybe we're allowed to say that, but I was alerted to the fact by our esteemed producer Cody Merrow that some people felt like maybe I was a little bit hard on Ray. And now Cody's telling me that Sarah Longo gear is available now.
Hey,
Is that available on AnikFlorianPodcast.com, code FAM15 for the holidays? If we're selling Sarah gear, like on our website, I don't even know what I'm gonna do with myself. So I'm hoping that that's just like a misprint or something. We were talking about Mateusz Gamrot, Cub Swanson over Darren Elkins with that incredible knockout. I don't know if he got a bonus. I don't have the bonus winners in front of me. Hopefully Cubby Swanson got a bonus, the father of three. But what an unbelievable moment for Cub to have with his kids. And, I was thinking a lot about that after what Amanda Nunes and Nina Nunes were saying a week before about wanting their kids to get older and experience all of these fight weeks, when I know my man Ken Flo would have his daughter so far removed from this fight week as he's cutting down to 155 pounds or whatever it was. But what did you make of Cub, bringing his kids and being able to have that moment with them?
I think everyone's different. And I think, that was a real special moment for Cub. Cub's a very emotional guy, as you could see. And, obviously the fight game has meant so much to him. And for him to be able to do that with them sitting front and center, a special feeling for him. It was an awesome performance against a guy in Darren Elkins, who is one of the more dangerous guys, one of the harder guys to put away, as we know. But I think the difference was, here's the thing. Darren Elkins, you're going to land on him. You're going to land some shots. Can you put him away, though? That's a different question.
Right.
Cub has enough firepower where he was able to do that and executed beautifully. Cub looked very relaxed once he settled into his positions and his striking, and he was getting his feet moving. Man, was he landing well and consistently, and able to get it done. Elkins took a lot of damage yet again in that fight, and Cub looked awesome, man. I was super happy for him.
And the patience to not force the finish, big stuff for Killer Cub Swanson over the weekend. All right, we will try to reconnect with Ray here in about 60 seconds. But Ken Flo, I'm trying to figure out my travel schedule for 2022. And I know there are going to be a few places where I'm not going to be able to get on my favorite gambling websites. Well, I don't have to worry about that anymore, because no matter where we are, NordVPN now has us ready to surf the web safely, anonymously, and without restrictions. Not only are we protected, but sometimes the sites we use to stream, like Netflix or Hulu, don't have the same offerings in certain countries. Well, with NordVPN, we are given full control of our location, so the internet is always open and safe. And sometimes you can even get cheaper rates on certain streaming services as well. And I know you Anik and Florian podcast listeners and viewers know what I'm talking about when it comes to keeping your internet activity safe and secure. We ain't going to snitch on you, but it's almost Christmas time, and NordVPN wants to help the cause. They're giving you up to 73% off, plus a free bonus gift if you go to nordvpn.com/AFPod or use the promo code AFPod when you sign up. Almost 3/4 off the price of a subscription. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee if NordVPN is not for you. So this is risk-free, and you're also helping the Anik and Florian podcast as well, so we can keep this content free for you guys and gals forever. So all you need to do, head on over right now to nordvpn.com/AFPod. That is nordvpn.com/AFPod for more information, or hit up our social channels as well and click through the links for that December deal of 73% off from NordVPN, and keep your data safe. All right, there he is. So it looks like you have some sort of headphone contraption. You need a new cellular telephone.
Exactly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Oh, wow. This is better. Yeah, the other thing didn't work at all.
Kenny was talking about, now it looks like Ken Flo's on mute. What a fucking disaster this is. Kenny, are you there, brother?
There we go. What's up?
There you
are.
Right.
We were only seeing half a Ray's face over here.
Oh, there we go. We're good.
There we go.
Anyway, I saw your boy Ryan Hall last night.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he was in Texas. I don't know who he had, but
okay. Oh, Carlos Vera. He won, right? Was it a fight?
Yeah, it was a fight. Yeah, what a sweetheart. I think I did meet him once before, but he really is just a really sweet, nice guy, and obviously very dangerous. But we talked about you a little bit, but just throwing that in there. Yeah. Great night last night. Wait, John fell asleep on us, Kenny. I think he's out. He might be out.
No,
he might be out.
Hey,
he's out.
No, come back, John.
I was just making some notes on Pumi Nakuda.
Oh, we got lots to talk about.
We have a ton to talk about. So I don't know when we were getting connected earlier if you heard what I was saying, but it seems like the listenership feels like I've been a little too hard on you lately. Maybe they don't understand the genesis of our friendship. So, because I got a million places I could go right now. Where are you right now?
Listen, I'm just impressed that I have a genesis with you. I don't even know what that means.
Synthesis is maybe the better word. I mean, where are you?
What do you mean? I'm in Houston.
What are you doing?
You're still there.
Oh, yeah. No, we had a fight with a big Naz Sadikov last night. Beautiful fight. Knocked the guy out in the third round. Got to catch up with a lot of people, which was great. Saw Kendall Grove, Eric Shelton.
Oh, nice.
Really was just a great time. Tell you, Kendall Grove's got to be one of the nicest guys ever in MMA.
Yeah, he's
just
a good dude.
What a just great energy to see him. And it's always I don't see him for 7 years. It's like it was yesterday. He's just a great guy. It makes the sport so much nicer for me, man. It really is just we had a blast.
That's great. I mean, you hate when people call you a legend, but you're a walking, living legend. So when are you flying home? Right after you leaving Houston right after the podcast, and you're going back to New York, right?
I tell you, this is why the fans are on you. You're bullying me. Actually, who would have thought John Anik was a bully, Kenny? Seriously. Who would have thought that?
A lot of people in television feel misunderstood, right? It's like my family likes to joke with me. It's like, it's amazing. People think you're a nice guy. You're a fucking asshole. Yeah. My twin brother always tells me. So 3-0 for you on the weekend, though. Phumi Nkuta, let's start there, right? So he had a little cameo on our show last week, and I said he's the best flyweight in the world outside the UFC. Then your guy Steve Lee takes issue with that. God loves Steve Lee, but he believes that Phumi right now, with respect to Brandon Moreno and everybody else, is the best flyweight in the world in the UFC or outside the UFC. Wow. So I know he's hyping up his guy, but this kid can fight, man. He can cut a promo. Looks like the total package to me. Talk to me about Phumi Nkuta and how you think he stacks up right now with the truly elite world-class flyweights.
Well, I'll tell you, cutting a promo, he's up there with the best of them. That's for that for sure. Listen, he's 5-0. He's defended the belt twice, won it. So he's got, since only 5 fights, but I don't think he's lost a round between his amateur career and his pro career. And, they are flying guys in. This kid was tough. The kid before this was tough. And the guy he won the title was tough. He had beaten the guy that was just on the Contender Series. So he's ready for the next jump. He really is that good. When you're working, like he could stay toe to toe with Merab, which is a big thing, and he's a 25-pounder. And he's got Aljo to work with. He's surrounded by great people at that weight that he could work with. So we got to see, but he's ready to go. I mean, I don't know. He's just he's just dominating every round that he fights. And he's
right. I mean, what are they going to do with him right now? I mean, do you think it'll be one more? Do you think, the Contender Series probably doesn't make sense. He's probably ready for the UFC.
Either or, he just wants to get in there. If he has to prove it in the Contender Series, he'll prove it in the Contender Series. If they throw him right in there, that's fine too. He is that good. So it's not like he's just talking. He is training with guys that are in the top 5. Right. And, we all see how the training goes, so he's right where he wants to be. And, if his head stays level, which he's really, really an intelligent, bright young kid, I think the sky's the limit for him. I really do. He's just an athlete and he gets it, so I don't know. I don't know what else to say about him. He's just he's unbelievable. I'm
curious for an athlete like that, undefeated, and sorry, Ken Flo. I'm just curious, like, if the mentality is, am I try to stay ready for a short notice opportunity because I want to get into the UFC that way, or do I want to go the Contender Series path? But I think a kid like that who has not just the skills, but a personality and all the confidence in the world, I don't know, man.
Look, you have to love him, John. Even when he jumps on for the, even last week, he's just his personality is infectious, man. He's just a great kid. He was a great kid the second he walked through the door, and I'm just glad to see he's doing good. He did suffer an injury though, so he will be out a little bit. So hopefully that doesn't interfere too much with what's going on. But
what happened?
He broke his hand.
All right.
So that sucks. But, the thing with the UFC, it looks like the Contender Series or looking for a fight is the best way in at this point. I don't know how many people are really taking any other way. Is that correct, Kenny? Or John, you would know better than me, I think.
No, perhaps so. I guess I'm just curious from an athlete's perspective, right?
He's ready to go right in. If that's what you're asking, he's 100% ready to go right in.
Yeah, because this climate has produced a lot of short notice opportunities, and oftentimes that can be a high profile way to sort of bang the door down. All right, in the nature of time, we're going to talk to Belal Muhammad coming up here in 12 minutes. I guess I wanted your thoughts on that fight and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who kind of took to social media today to sort of apologize to his fan base. Did you watch that co-main event? If so, what were your thoughts on it?
Okay, so obviously I was flying and I missed everything. But last night I went back and kind of watched it late. But it looks like the wrestling, just is that Achilles heel that he's going to have to get by, because now everybody knows which path to go, right? Because it's funny when the fight's standing. I mean, even if it's for 20 seconds,
right?
He is lighting the guy up, but it's 20 seconds as compared to another 4.5 minutes of just control time. And Belal did a great job. I think he just looked at the Burns fight and he kind of did the same thing.
What do you make of the fan base being critical of a guy when he wins like 30-25 against one of the best kickboxers in UFC history? Like what do people, is it just ignorance? Like what do they want Belal with his skill set to do in that matchup? Like try to stand and trade with the guy? Like, I don't know. Am I too critical?
No, but we're addressing something we shouldn't even be addressing.
I know,
like what the fans think. I mean, we love the fans, but I mean, you can't please everybody all the time. You know that, right? So that's more. And I think Henry Hoof said it to I think he said after the fight, even to Gilbert, like, why would we take another path when this is the path? This is obviously the path to go. If you have the ability with the takedowns to get that fight to the floor, why would you? It's MMA. Why would you do anything different? But look, we all know that everybody loves a Pier 6 brawl. I mean, that's a definite, Dana loves that. The fans definitely love that. Two guys just standing in like Chandler and Gaethje and duking it out. But, that's not always the smartest thing to do, right? So you want to please the fans or you want to get a W. Right, you have, as a fighter, you have to decide on what you want to do and what you think you can make the best of your skill set, and then just go with it. And Belal did a great job. Wonderboy will probably be the first guy to tell you that. And that's it.
I need a Pier 6 Brawlers t-shirt, right? See, I'm trying not to be a dick today. I was going to come on here and be like, oh, look at Belal just taking your boy WB down at will. I ain't going to do any of that. No. Hey, real quick, my man.
Yes.
If I'm Tyron Woodley, I'm giving myself a fade this week. I'm not going into the barbershop. I just don't want that noise, right? And like Ken Flo could take $350,000, $400,000 to go box somebody, right? But he doesn't want to walk into the barbershop for the rest of his life and people being like, dude, you got flatlined by Jake Paul. And Ken Flo's defense and jab is too good. It wouldn't happen. But, I feel bad for my guy T Wood. I've spent time with him in Ferguson, Missouri. I know the family well. He's trying to sort of put the sport of mixed martial arts on his back in some way, and ended up, face first on the canvas, courtesy of a big right hand from Jake Paul.
I mean, he went down worse than Askren.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, much more violent.
Look, I'm sure he made money. And guys, what you have to realize is that, and I think we all wanted Woodley, right? We all said, no, he's going to make the adjustment. He'll be more aggressive. He kind of hasn't done it in the last 5, but we just get sucked right in there. But at the end of the day, you know what they say, follow the money trail? You got to follow the money trail. That's it. And that was a problem. Look, this kid he's a decent boxer. He really is. Maybe not even decent, but for where he's at for 3 or 4 fights, he definitely can box a little bit. So I turned the fight off after the second round. I go, it just was boring. And then what did he get knocked out in the 4th or 5th or 6th round? Yeah. Then somebody showed me the highlights, and I'm like, I don't know. I hope he's happy financially, because I don't think happiness is coming in any other avenue than financial.
Ken Flo, what do you got for us on Woodley Paul 2 or Paul Woodley 2, I guess?
Yeah, this was tough. Listen, I think Paul has established himself as a big, strong kid. He obviously has some pop in his punches. And for me, I think it was a misread by Woodley, right? It's almost like Ray, like he was parrying a teep or something like that with his hand. Like, I don't know what he was. I don't know if he made the only thing I could think of, maybe he thought an uppercut was coming, so he was going to block it with his hand. But one thing you don't really do, it's not karate where you're, blocking punches and all. Yeah. Usually you just cover up and you keep them here the whole time, especially for boxing. The only shots that are going to come are going to be hand strikes to your head.
Without a doubt.
Why he did this, I don't know. But listen, we all make mistakes out there. It was a tough one for Woodley. More than anything else, it's like, I don't care about the loss as much. I hope he's okay. Physically, that was a rough one.
Yeah, man.
You get knocked out like that and you just go out and you're out. I mean, he's not out like almost and kind of like slowly goes to the canvas. He literally was out on the feet, and it was like a tree falling where he just went face first. Those are brutal, and that's not a good sign. And I just hope my man Tyron is okay, and I hope he made some good coin for that fight as well. But the Paul brothers, they're picking the right guys at the right time.
It really is. Yeah.
As good as Tyron was, or as powerful, or as dangerous as he is with his hands and stuff, he's not a professional boxer, right? They're picking guys
no question
at
about
the end of their careers who, and so I don't know. Kudos to those guys, and we'll see what he does next. He's talking about MMA, maybe. I don't know.
Not only that, they're picking guys way below their weight, 20 pounds.
Yeah,
Woodley's
way smaller. Absolutely.
Yeah, like it's just it's.
Right.
Look,
well, I got something for you.
They seem like good guys, though. They really seem like decent. They're doing a great job with the marketing. I think it seems like they're very generous, right? He made Woodley a great offer, I think, right? An extra $500,000 if he knocks him out or something. So they got something going on, man, for sure.
Man.
Oh boy.
My gosh.
What's he doing?
I can't believe T Wood is on the wrong end of this highlight for the rest of eternity. And I've been a Jake Paul supporter, right? Like, it is encouraging for me to hear you call him a decent boxer, because I saw a video from Smiling Sam Alvey on social media, and he's just like, Sam's the nicest dude on the roster. And he's just like, he's just not a good boxer. Like, Sam's like begging Masvidal to somehow, some way position himself to take this fight because he just wants to see Jake Paul humbled. The odds for Jake Paul's next opponent, Bet Online, Anderson Silva is the favorite right now at 3-1. Tommy Fury, Dylan Dennis, Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor, Masvidal, on and on it goes. Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Mike Tyson, Canelo Alvarez, KSI. Anderson Silva is the betting favorite right now to be the next opponent for Jake Paul. Would you wet your beak with Anderson Silva? Certainly in terms of the size, Ray, more comparable.
Yeah, again, so we get the size right, but the guy's 50. I mean, like it's always going to be something, Kenny. I mean, all right,
exactly.
So now we got a guy. Exactly. I mean, it's almost genius. I want to give the kid credit because he's outsmarting these guys because he entices them, and he's always got the advantage. So I don't know who's better than him. I mean,
we keep trotting out. We as MMA guys, we keep trotting out swimmers for sprinting contests. It's like, what if we send this swimmer out to race you on a track?
Yeah.
It's like it's a different thing. And again, I couldn't agree more. It's like yes, Anderson Silva is a way better striker, but again,
what do we?
50. It's like, can we just send in a professional boxer to just let's just do this? Or get an MMA guy in his prime, but then that's not going to happen, and he'll call out those guys because they're under contract with the UFC. So it's like, you can call out whoever you want. You can call out Conor McGregor. You can call out Usman or whatever. They're not going to take the fight. They're contracted to the UFC, and they know that. So
that's what I say. But he does a great job in selling it. He really does.
He does.
This is going to put it over the top, though, with this knockout.
The Paul brothers are.
This is
fun,
not,
man.
This is not
might
good.
Be genius too.
They are doing something right. I mean, Floyd Mayweather started his career at 130 pounds. I mean, he's not a big guy. Great boxer, obviously. One of the best ever, if not the best ever. But you took him at, how old was he? 44.
Yep.
He weighed 140 pounds. This guy was 200. Well, like it just doesn't. It is
well,
fun.
Floyd fought Logan Paul. He didn't fight.
Oh, and what was what weight does Logan Paul walk around at?
Right, he's the bigger brother.
He's the bigger brother.
185.
The guy was fighting at 140 pounds.
But even when you talk about Masvidal and McGregor, right? I mean, smaller guys than Jake Paul.
100% again. Look, in boxing, you could have two great guys. One guy 130-pound champ, one guy 135-pound champ. Back in the day when boxing was as competitive as it ever was in the 80s, going up 5 pounds was hard to do. 5. Yep. Not 15, not 10, not 20. 5 pounds was hard because everybody was good. And that 5 pounds made a difference, Kenny. It really did. I could give you example after example. So what these guys are doing is crazy. I mean, it's like, this is like Mike Tyson calling out like a middleweight, it's nuts.
Yeah. It is
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that fight. Maybe Tyson and him.
All right. Well, it is interesting, right? That, we didn't even ask you about Derek Lewis because we're talking about that. So,
so they got us there too. But it is a funny conversation. And I think when you really boil this kid down, it's the new age of thinking with YouTube and everything. It's even like when Woodley wanted a rematch, the guy was like, no, you can't have you had your turn already. It was like he was in the schoolyard. It's something, he's seems like a fair kid, he definitely, oh, no, you had your turn. It's somebody else's turn now, Tyrone. And what are we talking about? This guy I'm like, is this kid kidding?
Give me my brother's ball back, God-awful fight, though. God-awful fight until it was not. Hey, Ray.
Yes.
I wish you safe travels, man. Get some pomade in your hair. You sound great today.
No, I'm out, man. I need a break. I went from Atlantic City back to New York, jumped on a plane, went to Texas. I mean, I don't even know where the hell I am. I'll be honest with you.
For rocking the merchandise on UFC Fight Pass. We did not.
And anybody I forgot that I didn't give a shout out to, I'm sorry, but I think I got everybody. It's all good.
There's some cannibal guy that you forgot or something.
Oh yeah, Charlie the cannibal he did great. He stopped his guy.
You're just gonna get out of here and forget Charlie the fucking cannibal.
It was kind of like that. I'm trying to think of who else I saw. It was a really good weekend. Texas was phenomenal.
All right, we'll get home safe, and we will talk to you next Monday. Free form episode next Monday. So safe travels, my man. Appreciate all your time, and the check is literally in the mail because it's Christmas time. So,
dude, John and Kenny, if I tell you, I feel like a 12-year-old on Christmas waiting for that envelope. I know. I really do.
I know. Get some good candy, Ray. Get some good candy.
I'm actually just more worried about what happens after I open the envelope.
Yeah. All right, get out of here.
All right, take it easy, guys. Love you guys. I'll talk to you. Hey, happy holidays, man. If I don't see, I don't even know what day it is today, but
Merry Christmas and all that.
And I'm glad I'm glad you married a Gentile, John, who you can celebrate Christmas with.
Yeah, right. To get the Christmas spirit.
I mean, you're going to know what it's all about this year.
I can't wait.
Thank God for Chrissy Anik, man. Thank God. I tell you, look, he's actually mad at me again. Look.
No, I'm not. My
what do you want me to make you feel better if I say L'chaim to you? Like, what are we doing here? Celebrate Christmas.
I could just feel the anti-Semitism coming through the computer. L'chaim.
Amazing.
Love you.
Mani Shma. Take it easy, guys. I'll talk to you. Goodbye.
And people are going to say I was rushing him out of here today. And the reason I'm rushing him out of here today is because now joining us is one of the best welterweights in the world. Belal, remember the name Muhammad, if you'll just give me a minute to put my headgear on. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so proud of this performance.
Yeah, look at that.
My brother.
All right, so now joining us, he'll be in the top 5 when the new rankings come out off a big win this weekend. Little formal here. UFC welterweight contender Belal, remember the name Muhammad. I'm going to try not to cuss a lot. I know you're a fudge guy over a fuck guy, but congratulations, man. Seriously. It's been a huge year for you. I know how hard you work, and obviously everybody on this channel and everybody, I think, for the most part in the MMA space is really happy for you, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Appreciate that. Dude, it's funny when you say fudge, guys. The MMA fighting, they like quoted it and they like wrote it down. And I said, when I saw the word fudge on the thing, I was like, oh, dude, that's hilarious right now.
Yeah, right.
Something's like, oh, I got to make you a shirt that says fudge on there. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, the ESPN, they bleeped out fudge, if you're wondering. So, all right, a lot to unpack when it comes to this win. Kenny was voicing some of his support over the weekend on social media. But relative to your expectations going into the fight with Wonder Boy, how did it play out?
I mean, honestly, when you're getting ready to fight a guy like Wonder Boy, the top 5 in the world, a guy who you've seen knock people out, a specialist, a hard guy. And at the beginning of camp, it was like a little bit stressful because you're overthinking it. You're like, man, I called up Raymond Daniels. He didn't answer. All these guys use Raymond Daniels. They're all telling me to use him. Call Sage Northcutt, and these guys aren't answering. Like, what do I do now? And, just overthinking the process a little bit. And I'm just like, what? I got a good guy in me. I got my training partner, Ignacio Bahman, is really good. He's very good at emulating a lot of guys' styles. He's a younger version of him. And I was just like, what do I need to do? Stop overthinking it. I called Anthony Pettis, asking his thoughts, and he's like, dude, don't overthink it. Don't bring in this guy. Don't bring in that guy. Watch Bazooka Joe. And I was like, Bazooka Joe? He's like, yeah, watch him. And he sent me a couple of videos of his when he fought Raymond Daniels. And it was just in his face the whole time, leg kicking him, pressure the whole time forward on him the whole time. And he just like, trust me, that's going to work. That's what you need. You don't need to sit there and try to play the karate game with him or bring in a guy like Raymond. And then you're going to be frustrated for the first couple of weeks because it's going to be hard to catch his timing and thing. And then that's going to make you think, oh, crap, if he's this good, what about Wonder Boy? Wonder Boy's probably going to be 20 times better. So just not overthinking the process, knowing that my team, my coaches, my styles, I could adjust to anybody no matter what.
You seem to move on pretty quickly after the win. Are you allowing yourself to enjoy the fruits of your labor? It doesn't seem so. It seems like it's just spinning it forward right away.
Honestly, no. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm like I said, the goal is the goal. Once I get the goal, that's all that matters. But yeah, I'm sitting there like, man, dang, I should have called out this guy. Well, this one makes sense now, or that one makes sense. It's just because there's such a logjam at the top of the division with none of these top 5 guys wanting to fight. And then you got Chimaev right there too. That's another huge name that's honestly probably bigger than any of the top 5ers right now, just on name value. So you're like, what's next? Or like, what does the UFC want? And then I know that Kamaru is going to take some time off and he's not going to fight for a while. So you're like, I'm not going to be the guy that's going to sit there and wait. And all of a sudden a big fight gets made and you're like, dang, I should have called for this guy because I got skipped. Or there's going to be a number 1 contender fight and the UFC likes guys that stay busy. And I'm injury free. So I want to stay busy.
Belal, what does this say about your skills? I look at this fight against Wonder Boy and, you don't necessarily come from this high level wrestling background where like, we know, you're this guy who you're 4-time All-American national champion wrestler. We're like that. This is how he's going to win this fight. We don't. And then you look back at the Maia fight where you're able to anti-grapple and use your striking. And, you have a lot of different skills that I think people don't really realize. And the fact that you're able to win in different ways, to me, is probably the most impressive thing. But how do you think your skills compared to the other guys who are maybe ahead of you in the welterweight division?
I feel like this year I showed a lot where my first fight of the year against Diego Lima, I threw over 230 strikes in a fight. And I know I had to stay in his face and pressure fight him with striking. And then against Maia, I defended 25 takedowns. So I showed I could defend these guys' takedowns. And then against Wonder Boy, I showed that I could grapple with the best of the best and be there. And I don't need to have these big accolades of being a jiu-jitsu black belt or wrestling in college or anything like that. It's just all about hard work and the grind. And the team that I have around me, we're doing all the right things. And like GSP wasn't one of those guys that wrestled his whole life or anything like that. I'm not one of those guys. I wrestled 1 year in high school. But I just know that the work I put in, the mindset that I have, I know how to be a fighter. I know what it takes to be a fighter. I don't need to sit there and overthink a bunch of things. I know how to put it all together. And I think I'm one of the best guys in the division at putting it all together.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the future.
Yeah! Hey, Belal. Hey, Belal, you got me?
Yeah.
Not only have you made this Monday amazing for me, I don't even know where to begin. I was going to be calm and I couldn't be calm. I'm so happy, number 5. How are you feeling today, Belly?
My brother, man, dude, the reason world. Literally that last episode we had before, everybody was telling me like, man, Jason's energy, man, is a whole different energy. I'm like, dude, man, his energy got me hyped up right now. I was like, dude, he's the man.
Dude,
if you don't know and you're only on the audio side, that is Jason Anik, who co-hosts Remember the Show here on this channel, calling in to celebrate you. Because, I want you to celebrate this win. Like, that was a big part of today. And certainly, before I let you go, I'm going to hit you hard on the Khamzat Chimaev stuff. And thanks, Jay, for calling in. He'll get his turn. By the way, there he is. Are you guys having the Black Beast on the show this Thursday? Is that still Belal in the works or what?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get into it. I went into his DMs again. I'm hoping that he responds this time. But hey, I was like, dude, I gotta go for it. I was like, he was sitting there in the jacuzzi. I was like, yes, hey, Luke, call him over here. Tell him I need to talk to him. He's like, what do you want to talk to him about? I was like, don't worry, just turn your camera on. He's like, what? I need to know what we're talking about. I was like, dude, just call him over here. And he came over there, and then I recorded him, and then he saw Luke recording. He's like, damn, all right, I got you. I was like, yeah, we got him.
Got him.
Hey, do you see my face or you just got my voice?
No, he got your face.
All right. So, hey, Flo, great to see you, by the way.
Good to see you too.
Have you ever seen anyone ragdoll Stephen Thompson like that? Pick him up.
No.
Just pick him up and ragdoll. Bully, how's that number? Go ahead.
Belal, did you even get hit?
Honestly, no,
seriously, it didn't look like you did. Like,
yeah, honestly, no. It's literally I got no. Like the worst thing I have is rug burn on my knees, like that. The people don't understand how, like, when your knee scrapes on there, it's like sandpaper. I'm
you
like,
take the shower after, you're like, ah!
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Yep.
All right. Well, Jay froze, so we thank him for checking in. So super impressed with the performance. And, we spent a lot of the beginning of the show sort of talking about the fan base, and maybe I lean into this too much when I see some of the criticism in terms of the entertainment value of your win. And ultimately, winning is the most important, right? The boss was certainly happy with the performance, but I sort of come to your defense when I see people sort of wanting like a kickboxing match. It's like 30-25. It's like, how are you supposed to fight this guy, man? It's just like, I don't know, man. I thought you fought a near perfect fight. You should be happy about it,
Yeah, I'm not worried. Like, fans in general, I mean, he has twice as many followers as me, so obviously he's going to have more butthurt people after that win. But I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and kickbox with him. But I was prepared for it. I was like one of those where I'm like, all right, I didn't have to use it. Like, the whole training camp, I'm sitting there like, all right, well, he's going to throw the spinning kick. He's going to throw that. I'm going to be right. I have to rush him right after that. And, when you're fighting a guy like that, you're thinking about, when you're going to sleep, you're thinking about Wonder Boy. I've watched him my whole life. I've seen him. I've seen him knock guys out with spinning kicks. I've seen him knock guys out with that straight cross. I've seen him knock guys out with other things. And you're like, all right, what do I do when this happens? 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 But I didn't have to get there because I got to the wrestling and I was like, all right, it was easy. I was able to control him. I was like, all right, well, if plan A is working, why am I going to go to plan B, C, or D?
Yeah, training's hard. Fight night's easy. Not that easy, but easy enough. All right. So in terms of the division, okay. All right. So I got 3 names that no longer make sense, in my opinion, because now you're in the top 5. Okay. So Neil Magny, Michael Chiesa, Sean Brady. I don't ever want to hear their names out of your mouth. Okay. Let's start there. I love everybody. I'm just having a little fun. All right. So the guys in theory that would be ranked above you, if you're number 5 in the world now, Vicente Luque 4, Leon Edwards 3, Gilbert Burns 2, Colby Covington 1. Now, when I'm calling somebody out as a fighter, maybe part of my inner monologue is, what is Dana's relative interest or appetite for that fight? I don't know what his appetite is for a rematch between you and Leon Edwards, but it would seem to me that Leon maybe doesn't have the appetite for it for one reason or another, and I'm not sure if Dana does or not. So I'm not sure that Edwards is going to be next, right? Then there's this guy, Khamzat Chimaev, who's number 11 in the world. He's a fellow Muslim. I know you're not going to call him out publicly, but some people thought this would have been the perfect platform to lay the foundation for a Chimaev fight that would get the boss excited. We have put out an Anik and Florian podcast poll, and it seems as though most people think you're going to get Gilbert Durinho Burns. I know I gave you a lot to unpack there. What do you think about everything I said? And ultimately, who do you think it's going to be next?
Yeah, honestly, it was one of those things where you just be number 5 in the world. And you're like, all right, you know what? They never talk about my name in the title picture. They never talk about this. So I'm like, whether there's nobody got the title fight right now. So I'm like, let me just put my name in the discussion. Whether I get it or not, all right, at least they're going to discuss it or bring it up now. So I'm like, all right, cool. But now after sitting back and thinking about it, like the two that I would really want, or which I think would make the most sense, is either Kobe or Chimaev.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, is that I don't mean to not say Kamaru Usman, right? Like, I just laid out the rankings, and I didn't mention the champ. But, bro, you're fresh blood. You have one loss in your last 12 octagon walks. Like, I don't think stranger things have happened than you getting a championship opportunity. I think maybe it's a main event, one more win, but you could get a title shot. I'm not saying you couldn't.
No, yeah, of course. But like you said, like there's always the world thinks that Leon deserves it for being on a 10-fight winning streak. So it's like, all right, whatever. And like you said, I don't think Leon didn't respond or say anything on social media or anything since the fight. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Whatever. He doesn't want to fight. So it's like, all right, I know Chimaev wants to fight because he commented on one of the posts or something like that. So I'm like, all right, well, that would be exciting. And like you said, he's the guy that the world thinks is the one that's going to dethrone Usman, the boogeyman, the guy that everybody's afraid of. So that one hypes me up because it's like, all right, you beat this guy. There's no excuses for the Maya. Oh, well, Maya's old. Now for the Wonder Boy, well, you did nothing but wrestle him. All right, now that I beat this freaking hot prospect that wrestles and knocks people out, then what is it? It's the Drago Rocky story where you're looking at it like everybody thinks this guy's invincible. So I go ahead and never beat him, and I think I have the style to beat him. Then I think that literally puts me ahead of any of these guys, especially if Usman's really going to take some time off and not fight. If I get this fight in before summertime or before one of the big cards or anything like that, and Usman does have some time off, you beat him, you steal all of his momentum, all of his rankings. So,
and wouldn't it be a better time to fight him now since he doesn't have as much experience? He hasn't had a fight in the UFC. Like, he's just walked through guys. So it's like, all right, well, maybe I get my hands on him, see what he's made of.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's one, like you said, it's one of those where you want to be the first one to do it. Even with when Gilbert Burns fought Wonder Boy, and you're like, nobody really tried to take Wonder Boy down in any of his fights. Everybody was, a lot of his guys were strikers. A lot of his guys were like Darren Till or Whitaker or all these guys that none of them really went in there with the mindset of trying to take him down. So Gilbert went in there with the mindset of trying to take him down. And obviously it was like he played it a little bit safer because he stayed on top of him because he's like, I don't want to get to the feet. I don't know how good he is off his back or getting up. So he's like, let me just hold him down. I realized that he didn't have anything off his back. So I'm like, all right, let me throw more ground and pound into there. Let me throw a lot more ground and pound than Gilbert did. So, but it's like, all right, now I know this. So now if I go in there against a guy like Khamzat, be the first one to figure him out, there's nothing that they can't deny me after that, especially when you got Dana White talking about nobody wants to fight this guy, blah, blah, blah. And I literally showed Texas to my manager of, yo, let me get Chimaev. I'm down to fight him right after his last fight. And I'm like, these guys will sit there and call him out on Twitter, but I'm like, yo, I'm texting my manager who literally could talk to Dana and holla at Dana the right way. Like, when these guys say that this on social media, I'm looking at it like Neil Magny, like this guy always keeps talking about, oh, I want to fight this guy. I want to fight this guy on social media, but this guy's obviously not getting fights. So I think it's obviously on his end where a fight's not coming through or something like that. Cause when he was calling me out for a while, and then my manager told me, like, because I messaged my manager, I was like, yo, let me get Magny. And he was like, before this whole Wonder Boy thing, and he was like, well, Magny's fighting Daniel Rodriguez. And then I found out he actually was fighting Daniel Rodriguez, and Rodriguez ended up getting hurt later on. But I'm like, you're sitting there calling me out on social media, but you have a fight. So why are you acting stupid for and lying to the fans when you're just being fake? And I'm like, I think he's being fake with all this. I'm a tough guy talking stuff like that. I would actually fight Chimaev. I would actually sign on the dotted line. So I'm not one of those guys going to lie about it.
It's incredible, man, what you've accomplished this year, inside the octagon with your podcast, television career, the social media is hopping, and certainly as a guy who is so intertwined with his fan base on social media, certainly nice when you have a win like this, right? To be able to sort of celebrate that because you got a lot of believers out there,
Yeah, I got a lot of believers, except for, Kenny Florian, who picked against me, James Krause, who picked against me, but it's all good, though. I took that personally, but it's all good. My team believed in me. I know the Anik bettors believed in me.
Hey, you know how much belief I have in you, and couldn't be happier. And it couldn't happen to a better dude. And I wish you all the best in the next fight, whether it's Covington or Burns. I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm going to see you in Rio de Janeiro in May, but we'll see. You never know. But congratulations on a big win, my brother, and I hope you can enjoy it. And so when are you back in the gym? I mean, I know you're a workhorse, but when are you like really
My
gonna hit it
sister
hard?
literally just messaged me now. You want to go to the stairs? I'm like, yeah, it's nice outside. I'll go to the stairs, hit the stairs a little bit, just get a workout. Because I just Jared messaged me in the morning and he was like, oh, what are you eating right now? And I was like, man, I wasted it because I was at the airport all day yesterday and I was like, I ate like candy and like anime pretzels and like you feel like trash and you're like,
yeah,
it wasn't even like it wasn't like a good meal where it's like, all right, now I got some good Chicago pizza or something like that. It was like wasted meal. So I'm like, you know what? Now I need to work out. I deserve to work out now.
All right. Well, congrats, my brother. Appreciate you carving out some time for us. Have a great week and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys. Happy New Year, brothers.
Congrats, man.
Peace,
Remember the name Belal Muhammad. Monumental victory over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson over the weekend, and they will be live on Thursday night with Remember the Show on this channel. Hopefully Derek Lewis is a man of his word and the Black Beast will be on. All right, yeah, we'll see what happens, right? And there is a Muslim component to it, right? Part of the reason why Belal doesn't hop in the octagon and call for the Chimaev fight is because he's not going to call out a fellow Muslim, but he wants that fight. And I think unlike some people, I do think that Belal would take it under the terms of his current contract right now. People take issue with almost anything I post about Khamzat Chimaev. And certainly I would submit to you that there are big names in that welterweight division that aren't in contention right now, like Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, and even Conor McGregor that constitute massive fights at 170 pounds. But in talking about the welterweight contenders, I have long said that the biggest fight other than a championship fight against Kamaru Usman is the Khamzat Chimaev fight. And for one reason or another, people aren't calling this guy out. Like I do believe, right, that if Belal, and he's heard me say this, right? So anybody who wants to bash me, bash the guest on the way out. I'm not doing that. He's heard me say, like, dude, if you want the Chimaev fight, and he wants it, right?
Yeah.
This Saturday night, Ken Flo, if you win your fight and you hop on the mic and you just say, you don't answer anything that Michael Bisping asks you, and you say, Khamzat fudging Chimaev. Let me feel that strength, big boy, okay? You're a light heavyweight. I'm in the top 5 now, motherfucker. Main event, February 12th. Let's go, okay? And then they sign the contract. Now, he chose a different approach for myriad reasons. I'm just saying, like, if you really want the Chimaev fight, I think that's the way you go about it.
Sure. No, I agree. Listen, I do agree. Obviously, it's amazing the kind of following that Khamzat Chimaev has at this point. I think listening to Belal right here, obviously, he's a very confident fighter, and he's firing in all cylinders right now. I think it'd be an awesome fight. Belal is one of the few guys that wants to fight Chimaev. Now, is it a little bit more difficult to put together because they share the same manager? Is that correct? Is that right?
I believe that Khamzat has since moved on from Ali Abdelaziz. Okay. And if that is not the case, then I certainly will issue a retraction next week. But I believe he was formerly managed by Ali. But again, when Belal at the end of round 1 is throwing those punches on Wonderboy, Khamzat is like trolling Belal on social media as if to say they're pillow punches. So they're on each other's respective radar, So I think that that is a fight that has some legs. And again, when I did a best of 2020 show for the UFC last year, they asked us all to come up with our dream fight for 2021. My answer at that time was Colby Covington versus Khamzat Chimaev. And it seems like maybe that would be the matchup. Vicente Luque and Gilbert Burns are not going to fight each other. They're super close. They're number 2 and number 4. So I think Belal's opponent could come out of that mix. I think Burns and Muhammad makes a lot of sense. But, for Belal, he's in the mix right now, and that's obviously a very exciting thing for him and for his show and everything else. All right, we got to get on out of here. If you're looking for last-minute holiday gifts, well, you can go to cameo.com and find my profile there, AnikFlorianPodcast.com as well. Code is FAM15 for 15% off your order. Go to millions.co for one more sleep gear, and don't forget Thursday night, Remember the Show, live on this channel. Christmas Eve, I guess, is Friday, so that'll be December 23rd. Ken Flo, Merry Christmas to you. Do you guys have a real tree or a fake tree in your house right now?
Thank you, buddy. Merry Christmas to you guys as well. We have a massive real tree.
Wow.
I think I pulled my back like 8 times just lifting it. This thing is at least 14 feet tall.
Do you get your tree? Like, we got our tree in November, so it's like dead.
Yeah. You gotta water this damn thing. I know, and that's what I was worried about. Like, we gotta water this freaking monster every single day, and I was worried about it dying. That's the big threat, but it's still alive.
And you did not transport it to the Florian mansion on the top of your Porsche. Is that correct?
I sure did. I put it right on the SUV, the Cayenne. Right on. That thing was massive. It was silly. It looked like a cartoon. This is how big the tree was. Yeah.
Griswolds. All right, kid. Have a great holiday. We are back next Monday. We will talk to Juan Carlos Santana from the Institute of Human Performance. We'll talk to him about some of the misconceptions, maybe some of the things you hear on the broadcast about strength and conditioning that maybe are patently untrue. So hopefully JC won't give it to us too hard. Also, details on our internship sweepstakes for 2022. And of course, the Anik and Florian Podcast Awards Show. The 7th annual AFPAs are coming up on Monday, January 10th. With that, thank you to our guests, Ray Longo, Belal Muhammad, our executive producer. The man at the controls is Cody Merrill. For Ken Flo, I'm John Anik. Thank you all for listening, for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Helps us in the long run. We appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you next Monday, the 27th. Until then, don't text and drive you later.